MMA is amazing because bullies cannot exist in this sport and are weeded out quite quickly because I don't believe you can be a martial artist and a bully. The two can't coexist. Which is exactly why Ronda Rousey has gone on the career downfall she has, and what hasn't been said about her at this point. There's basically hours upon hours of video essays and documentaries on how trash Ronda Rousey is, but I come to you today with the burial of Rousey because on the new Netflix MMA card, she just tried to ride off into the sunset and rewrite history and try and make us forget how toxic she used to be. Ronda Rousey just defeated my wifey, Gina Carano, on the new Netflix MMA card, and first off, I'm devastated. Okay, Gina Carano, baddie forever, a heart of gold who lost a ton of weight to get into fighting shape, which is incredibly commendable. Shout out to her. But this was about as manufactured as it gets, okay? This was Ronda Rousey's attempt at going out with a win and trying to rewrite history, trying to rewrite her toxic past. Today we're gonna dive into why Ronda Rousey is one of the most disrespectful, toxic, egotistical fighters to ever exist. This is exactly why Jake Paul and this other snake recruited her to lead this event, because they knew she's been living with just years of pent-up anger and rage and resentment for the UFC, who she feels like betrayed her and like tarnished her legacy when it's like, no, you just don't know how to take a loss, and you quit the sport and went into hiding after 2 losses. Your average fighter, after they go through 2 losses, they dust themselves off, go through some great, character development, and emerge as a better person, but not Ronda. She did what all bullies do, and don't take accountability for their mistakes, for their L's. And this is really what separates fighters who are drunk off of fame and clout from martial artists who see it as a journey, go through character development, are okay to take a loss. Their entire world doesn't crumble before them because they realize they can learn and grow from it. Ronda really just thought the entire world was about her, and instead of getting back in the gym and really working on her game, she would retreat to the media. She would retreat to talk shows to just spew excuses and look for sympathy points, like sharing incredibly personal information about her private life that nobody asked for, dude. This is not what a fighter does. This isn't what you do. MMA has this incredible way of showing you a fighter's true colors, because when you go from the highest highs to the lowest lows, it's pretty much impossible to hide your true feelings and retreat into whatever character you've constructed. And so Ronda Rousey went through this really interesting journey through the UFC. She started from the Olympics with tons of judo medals, and then she transitioned into women's MMA in the early days. She's regarded as a pioneer for women's MMA, sort of getting the whole thing started and making Dana White really respect it and pay attention to it, and that women could really sell fights and actually move that needle, A lot of fighters, including Miesha Tate, brought up how Ronda was receiving preferential treatment because of this raunchy character and how foul she was being. Ronda would always accuse them of just being jealous of her success, and she would continue a rapid ascent up the sport. When it was all said and done, Ronda Rousey defeated Miesha Tate, and even after dislocating Miesha Tate's elbow from an armbar, Miesha Tate stood up and wanted to show respect, go for a handshake, but Ronda still had to be the main character, had to be the center of attention, and would not show respect. And so you could argue Ronda just leaned into the most foul-mouthed character that she could to really get the attention of the world and to get men on board with watching women's MMA. However, over the years, Ronda Rousey would actually morph into this twisted character that she had created. She took playing a heel to the next level. She would never show respect. She was completely honorless, classless, and really still is, making fun of Khamzat Chimaev's cleft lip and leaking personal information about Kayla Harrison and making fun of her neck injury. That is just disgusting to me. And so in Ronda's early career, she was honestly a destroyer, okay? She would run across the cage, she was way too physical for most other women. She would judo toss you to the ground and armbar you on repeat. That's literally almost all of her wins are literally just by an armbar in the first 10 seconds. And because of this, she would be labeled as a one-trick pony, which I think really got under her skin, which led to her training in a lot more boxing gyms and trying to sharpen up her hands. But that all came crashing down, and Ronda took her first loss when met with Holly Holm, who was a decorated lifelong striker, training at Jackson Wink, a notoriously high-level gym. They really exploited every single weakness in Ronda's game: a lack of footwork, a lack of head movement, over-aggression, and a reliance on needing to take you down. One of the biggest UFC upsets took place on this night, and Holly Holm knocked out Ronda Rousey with a picture-perfect head kick, and how Ronda responded to this was all wrong. Even after the biggest reality check of all time, Ronda Rousey still chose to be bitter. She chose to go radio silent, to go into hiding, and then go on Ellen DeGeneres and begin her massive pity tour. Ronda finally got a taste of what it's like to take a loss in MMA, and she completely crumbled. Her image couldn't protect her. She had to face the reality of what she had been doing to a lot of opponents, destroying them in round one, humiliating them on live TV. This is the nature of MMA. You have to be able to take losses and dust yourself off. This happens to a lot of fighters, but they don't respond with bitterness and hatred and resentment like Ronda did. But bullies can't do this. They look for sympathy from the public when this is all public record. We don't just forget how awful you've been to people throughout your career. You can't expect a loyal fan base when all you've done your entire career is treat your fellow athletes like garbage. It doesn't work that way. Then Amanda Nunes obliterated her and sent her packing for good. After this, Ronda Rousey would really go where I think she's meant to be, which was WWE, where she could fully lock into whether it's a character or her own toxic self. And she really thrived in this environment where it's fully scripted and it's more of a collaborative theater than like actual live combat. So Ronda got what she wanted. She got an easy layup on the tail end of her career. She got to ride off into the sunset, but I simply won't let her try to rewrite history. We know how toxic she is, but Ronda Rousey, in my opinion, guys, is a horrible example of what a martial artist should be and how they should act. Ronda absolutely got exposed for what she truly is: MMA's biggest bully. She's trying to rewrite history and ride off into the sunset. I'm not a fan, but what do you guys think? Drop it down below, your thoughts on Rousey and your thoughts on this Netflix MMA card. It actually surpassed my expectations a little bit. The matchmaking was pretty good. I actually think they can be sort of a second runner-up contender to the UFC, just because they run through Netflix, and that inherently gives them a lot of live viewers, which will grow the sport, regardless of the matchups. Like, this was their first MMA event, and if I'm being honest, a lot of it was just, like, elite-level contenders being fed layups, like Ngannou getting a undersized opponent, Felipe Lins, just completely live executing him. Saladin Parnasse and Jason Jackson, they are elite-level fighters. They may not be in the UFC, but Parnasse is a KSW double champ, and Jason Jackson is the only man to destroy Yaroslav Amosov, who's been cooking in the UFC recently. These are elite-level fighters, and it was nice to see them get some shine on this card, even if it was against layups. So let me know what you guys think about Netflix MMA and Rousey. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all real soon.